Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. What do we got today, Rick?
We got the Week 13 waiver wire.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs?
What's up, guys?
I feel like I can't hear myself talking. I have a bubbly. I have my fantasy football notes, and I have Rick. Back. Finally.
What's up?
I don't know if this is going to be weekly. His power went out?
Power went out. Had to make an emergency. Well, power didn't actually go out. The internet went out. A little different. A little weird, I know. But
Yeah. That's weird.
either way, I had to make an emergency meeting to come over here so we can record this thing.
So, you should have seen us running around trying to set up any kind
It
of
took, I'm impressed.
setup.
I'm impressed that you were able to do it, though.
That's an honor. It's an honor, really. It is week 13. I can't believe that it's already week 13.
I know. It feels like yesterday we were doing shows in this room.
In like week 4.
Without cameras
Without the cameras, without everything. And now it's week 13 of the fantasy football season. And
we did like the whole season pretty much over Zoom.
yeah,
Think about that.
pretty much.
And we did it successfully.
For the most part. Now I'm not going to know how to put it back together to do Zoom.
Yep. You screwed yourself by doing this.
Screw the pooch. So it is week 13, waiver wire show. There is a lot of different things happening this week. We have the Ravens-Steelers game, which is going to happen on Wednesday.
Yep.
I think it's going to get canceled.
I think they should have canceled it, but they've kind of put themselves in a hole where it's going to be really hard for them to do
The
that.
Steelers for sure aren't going to forfeit.
No. Did you hear the report that the Ravens players were thinking about forfeiting?
They were?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear that at all.
That was when the game was still on for tonight or Tuesday, rather.
See, the Pittsburgh players were completely opposite. They were like, we wanted to play on Thanksgiving.
They just want to play.
They just want to play.
They just want to play,
They want to kill the Ravens. And Robert Griffin III.
Yeah.
But anyway, we don't know what happened in that game. So if you're listening to this podcast on Tuesday, I would suggest not starting Gus Bus.
Yep.
J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram are back, correct?
Correct. They're eligible to play on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
so that's good. But I don't know how this is going to affect fantasy weeks at all. So just go with it. Don't start Lamar, though. That would be terrible.
I honestly wouldn't start anyone from Pittsburgh or Baltimore. Although it's kind of too late now. Because you can't really change them for anybody.
So true. So before we jump into our Week 13 waiver wire, check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at theFFChamps, on Instagram at thefantasychampions. You can like us at facebook.com/thefantasychampions. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review, share this podcast with your friends, and subscribe.
Just do it. It's not hard.
I can't hear my voice at all. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. We're going to shave the locks off Rick if you get us to 1,000 subs. So that would be an extremely fun afternoon.
It would be.
At the Super Bowl. I mean, the Chiefs are going to win it all. So I really don't want that to happen, but maybe we can get somebody in to shave a Chief logo in the side.
Oh my gosh, please no.
Make it even worse. Click the bell for notifications because subscribing is not enough. And like and comment down below any questions you have for the waiver wire or any other questions, really, because we're open. We'll answer anything.
Yeah. Any questions?
Our view counts are like way up, and you guys aren't commenting, so I'm offended and hurt.
You can always go to TikTok too. I'm always active there.
They're like, you know what? We're gonna watch these two idiots talk about fantasy football for about an hour. We're half hour.
Oh,
for about a half hour. Depends on the day. And essentially get nothing out of it. But we don't need to ask questions because these two people are idiots and we're just watching them because they're stupid.
Just because I got nothing else better to do. Is that what you're saying?
Essentially.
Let's just get into the show.
Sounds good. I didn't bring up my waiver wire rankings because I was too busy trying to set up this podcast.
You can look at mine.
You know what?
Oh, it's too late. You're already there.
I'm good. I'm already there. I got it. So let's start with quarterbacks. Rick, you want to start us off with a quarterback for this week?
Yeah, you know what's funny? You know who's number one on my list?
Who?
It's Baker Mayfield.
Oh no! Please don't do this. This is not a good idea,
dude. I'm not saying to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he was the first guy that came up. He's not number one on my personal list. But he, it's a very risky start. But he is playing against Tennessee, who rank like 26th. I want to say
you're making me even
against
more
quarterbacks, dude. So he had like 3 straight awful weeks.
Yeah.
And I told everybody that I wouldn't want to start him. And then he went out and got 20 points against Jacksonville. And you look at those games, he wasn't able to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Because of the weather. If you look back at all 3 of those games, he had poor weather games. Now, granted, that team still wants to run the ball a lot, but against a team like Tennessee, they might be trailing in the game and be forced to throw it a little bit more than they want to. I think it's a game where he could produce fantasy points, but it's a very risky start at this point if you're streaming quarterbacks. Every single week we've been doing
this point.
I mean, it's week 13.
Dub.
It's week 13.
Just go for it. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Who do you have in mind?
Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know. How did Fitzmagic do last week? Oh, that's not bad.
But Tua is starting.
Is he starting against Cincinnati?
Yes.
I don't know what the Dolphins are doing. I would say, goodness gracious. This is a weird league. They have a lot of available people.
Dude, you're struggling right now.
Daniel Jones, maybe? Against Seattle?
Yeah. Oh, he's not going to play either. There's
I came prepared.
He was injured. Yeah, I came prepared for this show.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones got injured with I want to say a hamstring injury. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But the report is he can miss significant time.
Now, if I said Teddy Bridgewater, you would say he's on a bye week.
Yeah. Dude, are you just looking at available quarterbacks?
I'm looking at the wrong thing, but anyway.
That's why I said Baker, dude, because there's really not.
I would say Kirk Cousins against Jacksonville.
Yeah, okay,
he had 25 against Carolina this week. It was so funny. I was watching. I need a plethora of things to happen in order to win, or make the playoffs, I should say. And I was looking at my brother's team who picked up Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
and I was like, he sucks because he had I think 10 points going into the fourth quarter,
and then boom,
trash time.
He does that every week, every single week.
Though?
I think they did actually.
Oh my god.
But he does that every single week. He's like Dak from last year, but worse. Like Dak from last year, but times 10 on crack.
Right.
That's what he is. When he gets 5 points through the first 3 quarters, and then he throws 2 fourth quarter touchdowns because the Vikings are down 20 points
because they're trash.
And then, sometimes they get the win. They're hot. They're a hot team right now. So they're not.
Yeah, I would say them. I'd say Kirk Cousins, I should say. But I would take Kirk Cousins, and then
it depends who's available in your league too.
If you're sure Tua is playing, he might be a good play against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tua is not bad. I don't know if he's available in your league. He's not in ours and most leagues that I'm in. He's available in our listener league though. So I don't want to say this because I want to pick him up to start him because Tom Brady's on a bye.
Listening in the listener league, just don't. I've been paying. I've stuck with it. I've lost almost every game,
and I'm gonna win the championship. I'm confident in saying that. Watch me lose now.
Please do.
For the sake of our show.
For the sake of our audience thinking that we're not complete jokes. It's funny because managing a fantasy team is totally different than giving fantasy advice. People are like, oh my God, you must suck at fantasy football. I'm like, nah, fantasy football is really just...
You're good in every league. That's the one league you're bad in.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
I'm in with you at least.
You know what it is? It's not that I forgot to set my lineup 1 week. And it just collapsed from there. And I also had Zeke and James Conner. So, GG.
But he's available in the listener league. The guy I was talking about, it's Ryan Tannehill. He's going up against Cleveland this week. It's the same game.
Yeah, he's definitely not available in most people's leagues.
He's not in most, but he is in some. Especially
73% roster ship. Is that a thing?
Well,
roster
that's
ship.
Quick math, 27% that he's not owned in. So I'm just trying to give you some options here. I don't know. Ben Roethlisberger is probably owned. What percent of leagues is he owned in? But he's playing against Washington. That's not awful.
Sleeper.
And that's it. To me, that's really ends the list. Do you want to start Philip Rivers?
87%, so it's even worse. He's a QB 14.
Another really gross one, but Philip Rivers too.
Against Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but I'll let you say it.
Because you didn't want to.
I don't want that. I don't want that on me.
Yeah.
I want that on you. So when people come back and say, hey,
of course,
Philip Rivers sucked. Yeah.
But no. Who's the number out of all the guys we mentioned, who's the one guy that you would, if you needed a streaming quarterback, the guy you're trying to start?
Kirk Cousins, probably.
Me too.
Yeah, it would be Kirk. You said Baker,
which is gross.
like right off the bat.
Because he was just the first name that popped up on my list.
First name that popped up for you.
Yeah. But no, Kirk Cousins, as much as I hate him so much with a passion, and I say this every week because we talk about him every week, but I don't hate him. I don't hate him as a person, just fantasy-wise.
It's either start Kirk Cousins or sit him. That's essentially what it is.
But yeah, he's probably my start of the week.
Yeah. So let's talk about the running back position. It's always a fun reality for the running backs. Now, we talked about this guy a million times, so I'll just get him off the bat right away. Cam Akers he's kind of making a play for the startership.
A little bit. He had a massive run last week.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like a 50-yard run.
Still only had 9 rushes.
That's fair, but the numbers should go up. I think the problem is the Rams, and I've been saying this since week 1, when everybody went out and spent money on Malcolm Brown, and then week 2 everybody went out and spent money on Darrell Henderson.
Right.
I've been saying this since week 1. The Rams backfield, they're going to use a different guy every week. It feels like every single week there's somebody in that backfield that just blows up. So yeah, I do want Cam Akers on my team because he's probably got the most upside. He's the rookie running back, but it's not somebody who I'm relying on. It's just a flyer at this point.
I think. I mean, you're kind of getting late in the season for any kind of guy to start to take hold of the backfield.
Yeah.
If that is going to happen, it's already happened. So I'm not I don't think Cam Akers is a must add, but he's been hovering at 20% to 30% rosteredship, ownership, management, whatever you want to call it. He's been hovering around 20 to 30%. And people are not spending waiver budget on him, so you might be able to get him for free.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, the running backs on this list, I'm pretty sure every guy on this list, if they're not a handcuff,
right,
you're just taking a flyer on them. It's week 13. You're kind of just trying to stack up your bench for a playoff run,
right,
and hope you can get lucky with somebody.
Right.
And Cam Akers is somebody that you could potentially do that with.
Right. How much waiver budget?
I wouldn't really spend more. You don't have a lot at this point anyway in the season.
It's nothing.
Yeah, I'd probably put $5 max.
Yeah. There's nothing really else on this list that I would get excited.
Yeah,
about.
it's just handcuffs Brian Hill and Mr. Idaho Smith, Ito Smith.
Why did Gurley miss the game?
Knee injury. Somebody said arthritis, but I don't think that's. I don't think that's accurate.
That's not a fair estimation. You shouldn't just be throwing that around, guys.
But yeah, I don't know how long he's going to be out. So if he misses any significant time, I wouldn't mind those guys. But one of the reasons why I wanted to sell Gurley early in the year was because of his end of season schedule so brutal. So you're not going to try to start Brian Hill against some top ranked run defenses,
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. As always, pick up handcuffs.
Yeah, Alexander Madison's probably the big guy right now. Because Dalvin Cook.
Surprised that he's on this list with 32% ownership.
That is really surprising that he's only owned in that.
Somebody's held on to him in our league for the whole season. So good luck with that, buddy. Dalvin Cook hurt his ankle, and I'm a terrible person because I low key rooted. No, and I'm I don't want Dalvin Cook to get hurt. I love you, Dalvin Cook, but I really just hate the team that owns him so much
in our league,
and I want them to lose that badly.
That's how it is with players.
It's like I'm sitting here. I might not make the playoffs altogether in that league, and I try. That's the league I try the hardest in, and it's do I really care about all the other leagues that I'm going to make the playoffs in?
Dude,
if it doesn't matter for that one,
I'm in leagues where I won't say anything, but there's higher stakes than our home league,
and
I'm dominating. League. I'm doing fantastic in every single one.
Yeah,
but in our home league, I have Barkley, Joe Mixon, Myles Gaskin, Jonathan Taylor. All have missed at least 3 weeks, at least. That's just my. and I'm like 5-7. I'm doing awful.
Yeah.
So
I'm impressed you won 5 games.
Man, it took a lot. I'm trying to win this week.
I would hope, but you're still
technically.
What do you need? Yeah,
Juju and Steelers defense, bro.
I need you to win that game. I need you to win this week, and then I need you to win next week. So that would help.
Hey, be careful, because if I do that and outscore you next week,
you're not making the playoffs. You're both screwed. You need so much to happen for you.
No, it's actually not that crazy, because Sam. Well, I didn't want to say names, but whatever. He lost this week, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I play him next week.
Yeah.
So if I beat him, I go ahead
and
of
you
him.
outscore me. You
I'm
pass 2 people. You're not in.
Well, and then the person who I'm playing this week would also have to lose.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess that is a lot. But it's just I have to win.
A lot more than me.
I have to win, outscore you, or you lose.
Outright, yeah.
Yeah. And
which is very likely. It's a very
likely
possibility.
Which is also likely. So it's not out of the realm. It's not likely, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I don't like my chances.
Anyway, back to the podcast.
Yeah. Jalen Reagor is the number 1. We'll move on to wide receivers.
Dude, Frank Gore, you don't want to talk about Frank Gore?
Not at all. Jalen Reagor is the number 1 waiver wire ad continually on a week-to-week basis. You have Reagor this week. You're thinking about starting him.
Well, yeah, this is pre-recorded.
This is pre-recorded.
So it's like literally like an hour before the game, actually.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Is there anyone else that you're excited about adding here? Let's think fantasy playoffs for people.
Yeah. Fantasy playoffs wise, this isn't a great list either. It's week 13. You know what though? It's gross, but is it Kiki Kute, right?
Oh yeah,
with Will Fuller
Fuller's out,
suspended. I don't think he's gonna win you leagues or anything, but you could pick him up. I think he's worth a pickup, and he could potentially play that role.
Stills is out too. They just
Stills is
cut. Did they cut him?
Stills is cut. Yeah, so it's Brandon Cooks, and I think Kiki Kute would become the number 2 receiver on that team, and they like to throw the ball a lot, so that wouldn't be a bad ad.
How's their schedule?
If I recall correctly, it's not great. You can pull it up, I guess.
Process.
But if I recall correctly, it's not the best. I don't own many Texans players though.
Let me look at Brandon Cooks.
But yeah, no, I think it's average.
Indianapolis, Chicago, Indianapolis next 3 weeks, and then Cincinnati in week 16. So GG. It's
not great.
Kuti, yeah, I would pick him up just as like he could fill that slot role.
Yeah,
I don't know if Kenny Stills is playing in the slot, but yeah, it would fill a slot role or something like that for that team.
Sure. Yeah, I think all 3 Jets receivers are on this list.
Yeah,
that's kind of gross. Or not all 3, but Rashard Perriman and Denzel Mims are on this list.
Right.
Do you want to pick either of those guys up? I'm not really going to. I think Mims honestly could be owned for his upside, and his connect. He doesn't get many catches, but when he does, he gets every single catch for like his yards per catch is like 20. So if he gets like 5 catches in a game, he actually could be a decent flex play. And with Sam Darnold in there, and I think their schedule is relatively easy, so he could be worth the pickup in deeper leagues. But there's really not much out there this week. Josh Reynolds is another guy. He's been slowly under the radar, very good. But he still is behind. He's kind of playing the Brandon Cooks role from last year on the Rams,
right?
But he still gets less targets than Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. So he's not. He hasn't been anything crazy, but he has been slowly good, and his rest of the season schedule is 5 stars on Fantasy Pros as well. So he could be worth a pickup too. Yeah.
It's not a bad pickup. Was there any injuries in that?
For the Rams?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I would agree with you on. See, I'm a little bit hesitant on Mims only because the Jets are garbage.
I know.
They're complete and total garbage. And it's a hard one for me because I actually did look at him in our home league, I think. Or do you still have him? No, you dropped him.
No.
Yeah, and I see the target share. I mean, he's had 8, 7, and 8 the last 3 weeks. With the exception of the Kansas City game, he's had 7, 8, 7, 8. So he's been getting targeted. And are we expecting Darnold back anytime soon?
Darnold played this week.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Let's go. That's why he was slightly more efficient. But yeah, so he's been actually relatively good with the target share that he's getting. He's just not scoring touchdowns, which is
That's not going to change though. I don't think so.
Right, exactly. So he's getting about 8 points a game without a touchdown.
That's not bad. That's really not bad.
It really isn't. But if he adds touchdowns, it would change a lot.
He'd be great, yeah.
But the Jets are terrible.
Right.
Until they get rid of Adam Gase, it's just not going to change. So I think it might be a decent ad, especially when you have the Raiders, Seattle, and Cleveland.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
It's not a bad ad, but I don't think you're going to.
It's still the Jets.
I don't think you're going to start him unless you're like dead desperate.
No, yeah. And if you're that desperate to start Denzel Mims, you're probably not in the playoffs. Unless you're in a very deep league.
That's very true. I don't. This is funny because T.Y. Hilton's on this list, and I run away.
He caught a touchdown this week, dude.
No, run away. I don't care how many touchdowns he scores.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't. Unless you have any guys that you really want to.
I don't.
It's funny that Des Bryant is still on.
I know Des Bryant. He actually. I mean, they haven't played, but the last week he actually got like 5 targets, I think.
He played?
Yeah, he played and got 5 targets.
No way. See, these are things that I don't even know.
I only know this because I own him in a super, super deep league, not in a dynasty league, where there's like 25, 30 bench spots.
And you haven't dropped him?
I have not. See that? 5 targets.
Wow. He caught 4 passes.
Yeah. For like 20 yards. They were all... Did you see anything about it? 3 of the 4 catches were literally just like, when they're like the screens, but not even screens. Like you just hike it and throw it to the guy.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Yeah, like for 3 of them.
Oh, so he didn't have to run or go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It was just running after the catch, and he got like 5 yards each time.
Oh, good. 5 yards a catch.
Yeah.
Des Bryant at his best.
So, I mean, super deep leagues, I guess he could be, maybe.
Not really.
No, not really.
If you're starting Des Bryant, you're screwed.
You're in trouble, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else at the wide receiver position. Let's move to tight end. I think at this point, it's
the same guys.
It really is.
It's the same guys.
It's been the same guys every single week. And most of them are not available in our league, if that's what that green thing means.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I don't think that any of these guys are gonna be good. Like if you don't have a tight end by now, you're probably like 0-11. To be honest with you, the tight end position's been garbage. If you don't own Waller, Kelsey, or Hawkinson, you're screwed.
I know. Even the Jonnu owners had a rough week. 0 points this week from Jonnu. Oh, God. And the week before that, I think, or 2 weeks ago, he would have had like 1 point, but he got a rushing touchdown at the goal line, which is so weird.
Jonnu Smith?
Yeah. It was like an end around thing. But last 2 weeks,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
All you got to do is hit on one guy, and that'll make your whole season.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is on top of this list. He actually, did you watch the Thanksgiving game? He threw for a touchdown. Or did he throw for a touchdown? Or he threw. They did a trick play, and he passed it to Terry McLaurin for like 20-something yards. Well, it wasn't a touchdown.
I got a question. Did Dallas win that game?
No. They lost like 40. They lost like 40-something to 16.
That's awesome.
Did you not watch the game?
I didn't
on Thanksgiving. Wow,
no.
That's surprising.
I watched the first game, and then
unfortunately
I was at my parents' house, and they turned off the game to watch a Christmas movie. So
that's
soul crushed.
Yeah, my parents did the same thing. So
that's what it is. I probably could have watched it on my phone, but I literally didn't have anyone in the game in any league. I have 7 leagues. Do I really care who wins the NFC?
I had Terry McLaurin and Gibson, so I was like,
I'm rooting for the Giants to win the NFC. And they're gonna get smoked because Daniel Jones is now out. Much to my chagrin, I didn't even know that. Crushed my soul on the podcast. So yeah, Logan Thomas probably maybe
his schedule is so brutal though, but he has been good. He had 11 points this week
because he's been getting.
He caught a touchdown this week. That's what
he's been getting targeted.
Yeah, I mean, last 2 weeks he has 11, 14, 4, 8, 1, and then 11.
Right.
Which for tight end this year, that's like average. You know who caught a touchdown this week as well? Who's not on this list, but I think he's not owned in every league. So that's Austin Hooper.
Hoop, there it is.
Yeah. Well, he only had 2 catches, unfortunately, for 13 yards on 2 targets, but one of them was for a touchdown. So he had 8 points. And he's playing against Tennessee this week, which is one of the worst defenses in the league against tight ends. So
that's not a bad ad.
Yeah, he's not a bad ad.
Are you interested in Jimmy Graham?
No, not really.
Okay, sounds good. I was gonna say Allen Robinson had a. I actually think he's better with Trubisky. The Bears aren't
gross.
better, but Allen Robinson is better with Mitch Trubisky.
That's so gross.
He had 20. Remember, I was listening to our podcast from Friday, Injury Show, and we were sitting there, and I asked you a question about whether I should start Pittman or Allen Robinson if Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles didn't play, and you're like, I don't know. You said Pittman's probably the guy. And so I forgot about that decision, and I didn't change it.
I think if I recall correctly, I said Pittman if Trubisky and Foles were both out.
I don't want to throw bad things on you. So I late in that game. I mean, I was watching that game, and I literally thought back, and I literally said on the podcast, I said, because I'm considering this, Allen Robinson's going to get 25 points this week. And he got 23. So here we go.
That's how it works.
I'll take it. Works. But that'll do it for our waiver wire list for this week. Not a lot of guys. You're getting to that crunch time of the season.
Yep.
There's not much left up there. It's the playoffs. It's time. Most people are just forgetting about the waiver wire. I picked up Marquise Brown this week. Is that a thing that I should be doing? Don't know. Drop Sammy Watkins. So it's like trash for trash.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna pick up Hollywood Brown, it's got to drop.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Forgot to hit the track because it's not in front of my face. Don't forget to check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And we will talk to you on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Or I think it's Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
Enjoy whatever football you have.
And follow us on TikTok.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. And follow us on Twitter at TheFFChamps.